If you are feeling anxious, struggling with anxiety, then the best thing to do is try to address the root cause of what's going on. Try to get to the bottom of why anxiety is being triggered, what your mind and your body are trying to tell you, what you're not happy about in your life. But like I've been explaining, anxiety can become layered. So we have the initial trigger and the anxiety that causes, but on top of that comes this layer of anxiety about the anxiety. I'm anxious that I'm going to feel anxious. I'm panicky that I'm going to feel panicked. So ways to try and just calm the mind, calm the body, try to reduce that kind of top layer and get on top of the anxiety symptoms. There are lots of things that you can do to try and help that. And I'm going to break them down today just in terms of things that you can do to try and help the mind and things that you can do to try and help the body. So in terms of calming the mind, you want to start by trying to rationalise your thoughts as much as possible. So start by looking at the likelihood that something is actually happening. So your family member has not arrived home from work at the time that they usually do, and your mind has immediately gone to worst case scenario. They must have been in a car accident, they're really hurt, they're in hospital, maybe they've died. Actually, what is the likelihood of that happening? And what is the likelihood that they've got caught up at work, that a meeting has overrun, that they've lost track of time, or traffic is heavy on the way home? What's the most likely outcome? Play the odds game. And look for evidence for and against something. So if you're worried about some dangerous terminal illness and you're ticking a lot of the boxes on Dr. Google, also stop to look at what boxes you are not ticking. So we tend to focus on the things that reinforce our fears, but you're probably not ticking a lot of boxes as well, but just kind of ignoring those, or you're ignoring the part at the bottom that says how rare this disease is. So actually bringing back in the likelihood as well there of, okay, so one of the symptoms is feeling tired all the time, and you are definitely feeling tired all the time. Well, what's the likelihood that your tiredness is being caused by this serious terminal illness? And what's the likelihood that actually it's being caused by the constant anxiety? But remembering as well that these things do not last forever. So your anxiety is not going to last forever. And if you feel a panic attack building, as awful as it might feel at the time, it is not going to last forever. Panic attacks tend to be fairly short-lived, and it's not going to kill you. As much as you might feel like it is not going to kill you. And remember that all of this is your body actually trying to help you. It's trying to keep you safe. It's letting you know that you're frightened of something, and it's trying to keep you safe and prepared. So just try to understand that your body's trying to be helpful and make friends with it a little bit. But you can do a couple of things. Journaling can really help. So writing down your worries, writing down all of the things that you're frightened of, and distraction is great when we're feeling anxious, and especially if we're starting to feel quite panicked. So things like word puzzles, TV, talking to someone, going out for a walk, just get your mind focused on something other than what is making you feel anxious and something other than the feeling of anxiety itself. But because anxiety has such an impact on the body, we also need to try and calm down the body. And a great way to do this is through mindfulness. And you can find more information about mindfulness from the videos that I did a couple of months ago. But just trying to focus on some visualizations, some meditations, some breathing exercises, just making sure that that out breath is longer than that in breath. But things like looking after your physical health are really helpful. So exercise is vital in trying to help control anxiety, and exercising moderately. So just be aware that vigorous exercise actually has the opposite effect of what we want. Because our body gets into such a state of distress, we're gasping for breath, it interprets that as danger, it interprets that we're panicking, and it's going to set off all of those anxious responses. So just keep your exercise moderate rather than vigorous. But what you might find with anxiety is that you're extremely tense. You might have really tense shoulders or back pain. So also seeing a physiotherapist or a massage therapist to help just try and work out some of those knots, work out some of those tensions can be really helpful. And along those same lines are alternative therapies. Things like Reiki or reflexology, acupuncture, they're all really effective in their own way at calming the body and releasing things, which is what we want to do with anxiety. But things like the smell of lavender and jasmine, they have such a fantastic calming effect on the body. So spraying those on pillows or on your clothes, on a handkerchief, just to carry around with you, that just signal to the body that we want it to start trying to calm down a little bit. And try as hard as you possibly can to get some sleep. I know it's really difficult with anxiety, but try and keep a healthy sleep routine. Try and get a few hours of sleep at least a day. And what can help with sleep is actually cutting out caffeine and alcohol. And it's not just in the few hours before you go to bed. If you're feeling really anxious, cut out caffeine and cut out alcohol completely. So caffeine actually sets off that fight or flight response. Caffeine helps to flood our bodies with adrenaline, which is the opposite of what we want when we've got anxiety. And alcohol, although it feels fantastic in the moment, you feel calm, you feel relaxed, you don't have a worry in the world, it actually affects the serotonin levels in our brains. So it's as soon as it starts to wear off, your anxiety levels are really going to spike. I don't know if you've noticed the day after drinking or on a hangover that you feel especially anxious. That's the effect of the alcohol on your brain. But for me, the best thing that you can do for yourself when you're suffering with anxiety is talk to someone. So whether that's a therapist or a family member or a friend or a colleague, please talk to somebody about what is going on for you. Let them know that you're feeling anxious. Let them know that you're struggling with things, and they can try to help you feel safer. But getting to the root cause of what's going on, trying to understand why it is that you're feeling anxious, is the thing that is eventually going to help to lift it. So you can find counsellors, therapists at the Counselling Directory, the BACP and Psychology Today. And there's actually a great app for helping to manage your anxiety, which is the Stress and Anxiety Companion app.